Everyone, welcome to NFL Chiggity. I'm Jason, and I'm here with Kyle. We are doing a special edition of NFL Chiggity tonight, where we basically just get away from our division previews that we've been doing, and we're just going to talk about football in general, anything that really comes to our mind. So the first thing we're probably going to want to talk about is Von Miller, and the fact that he rejected, what were the numbers on this again?
It was $114.5 million over 6 years.
That's a lot of money, and I think he's a greedy you-know-what for turning that down.
It's how contract negotiations work. If he thinks he can get more, and listen, Olivier Vernon just got $17 million a year. Von Miller probably thinks he's worth, like he's getting 19 in this deal, he probably thinks he's worth more than $2 million more than Olivier Vernon, which, considering he has twice as many career sacks, is a fair opinion.
Sure, it's fair, but like, that is... How much more money do you need?
Well, how much... Listen, this is what...
I understand it's like a pride thing,
it's not
but
just
like...
that. It's like you want to be paid your market value. If you work that hard to become that good, you can do things with that money. You could start a charity. You could build a ton of schools. You could buy 10 Maseratis. It's your choice. That's how markets work. And I never understand. People, NFL owners, they're all making way more than the $19 million a year that Von Miller's going to make. And yet, people don't call them that greedy. People don't say, oh, the lockout was all the owner's fault because they were just greedy bastards or whatever. No, it's not that simple. Why not? They're making way more than him. And he's putting in a ton of time and effort. I have no issue with players trying to get the best deal possible. And if he's wrong and doesn't get more, then yeah, it was stupid.
Let's say he gets hurt the next 2 weeks.
Then he made the wrong decision.
I think, from what I understand, I don't watch it, so I don't know if he's still on there, but he's on Dancing with the Stars. I'm saying he throws the woman up in the air and he rips up his ACL again.
Yeah, that's a risk of negotiation. That's why players tend to take earlier contracts.
But in the real world, though, what is the difference between $19 million, and I think that's what he'd be making on an average, if it's a 6-year deal, I think it is, right?
Yes.
$19 million. What's, in the grand scheme of things, what's the difference between making $19 million a year and making $21, $22 million a year?
Are the Broncos spending 100% of their cap space?
They are. I hope not. No, they're not, of course, but...
Right, so what's the difference between them paying him a little bit more for them?
I just feel like it is greedy. Like, the goal is to win a Super Bowl, and if that much money is in a non-quarterback, I think it's kind of an issue. Just my opinion.
I mean, the Broncos won the Super Bowl last year with a quarterback who played at a market value of about $2. Largely because of Von Miller's contributions.
Okay. I see your point.
I understand the point about in the real world, do you need more than $114 million? But like I said, it allows you to do things. What if you want to buy a business, start your own business? Having more money.
Do you need $114 million?
Depends what you're trying to do.
More than $114 million.
What if he wants to become a part owner of the Denver Broncos one day? You need a lot of money to buy an NFL team.
Not a bad. Okay.
Point is, the more money you have,
I think it's ridiculous, and I don't think my opinion is going to change very much on this one.
Yeah, you want to be paid your value. And he thinks correctly he's worth a lot more money than Olivier Vernon. Now, he's not on the open market, so it's harder for him to get.
Exactly. Well, I think if Von Miller hit the open market, and Jacksonville probably would have offered him, probably what he wants. But, I mean, he's not going to hit the open market. Well, actually, he's on a franchise tag next year. Maybe that's just thinking. Hey, maybe, okay, I see what you're saying. But I'm just saying, if someone threw almost $20 million in my face, I'm taking it.
Yeah, but you're also not one of the best players in the NFL.
If I was in Von Miller's shoes, okay, let me rephrase that. If I was in Von Miller's shoes, I would take it. I just don't see the difference. That much money, it's not that much of a difference. It's not.
People think of that, but so you think, oh, $114 million or $125 million or $135 million. At that point, what's the difference? The difference is $10 million or $20 million, which when you think of it in those terms, is actually quite substantial.
You know what?
Maybe percentage.
Kyle Bright is beating me right now very badly.
I do my best.
Okay, so my opinion.
I understand your side.
You see what I'm saying.
I understand.
Right?
I'm generally fiercely take the side of players wanting to get paid as much as possible because I know a lot of players come from poor backgrounds or they come from worse situations. They're not necessarily guys with super rich situations. So if they make the most out of a talent and become world class in something, I don't mind seeing them get compensated.
Hey, we can agree to disagree.
I think we will.
We can agree. I think on this one we will. So we're kind of just on this podcast. It's just for fun, really. We're not going to take this one as seriously as the Division ones and whatnot. We're just doing this one for our own pleasure, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it as well.
And we're answering a couple comments we get. Also, if you stick around till the end, we're going to cover possible expansion cities. So if you want to hear Albuquerque, New Mexico get talked about.
Yeah, we're kind of just going to be joking around. Not really joking, but let's say an expansion team was to come into play, which will never happen.
We'll do that
The NFL is going to stick with 32. We're going to basically just talk about what cities that don't currently have a team would be best suited to have an NFL team. So next, what do you want to talk about next?
We have a couple. Tyler Boyd.
We can do Tyler Boyd. We had a request from one of our followers to go over Tyler Boyd, Cincinnati Bengals second round pick, and I think he wanted us to talk about how he might play a role in the Bengals offense this year. Well, you want to go first, Kyle, or do you want me to go first? It's up to you.
You can take it.
All right. Well, my opinion on this is one of the Billy on our show, who is not with us today, is a big Cincinnati Bengals fan, so he's probably going to be upset that he missed this, but he's in the Marines, so he's doing Marine things. And anyway, with losing Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones, he's going to play a huge role in their offense. I believe they signed Brandon LaFell in the offseason, who veteran wide receiver, should play a role in their offense as well, but Tyler Boyd will probably end up being there too. If not in the beginning, at some point in the season. He's going to play a similar role to Sanu and Marvin Jones. The top target's going to be A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert still. The running backs, Giovanni Bernard, who, by the way, just got a new contract today. I thought it was very team-friendly. And Jeremy Hill are going to probably touch the ball more than him, but I think Tyler Boyd can make an immediate impact stretching the field for the Bengals. Standing at 6'2", runs a 4.58, which isn't blazing speed. 185 pounds from what I see. Doesn't blow you away with his intangibles, but I think Tyler Boyd can help the Bengals a lot this offseason.
I think, talking with Bengals fans in the past, all that stuff, they've been looking for a legitimate number 2 for a while. Marvin Jones did that on and off.
He got hurt last year. Mohamed Sanu, in my opinion, not a true number 2.
Mohamed Sanu
was not really. He didn't even have a touchdown reception last year.
No, and I went to the same college as Sanu. I want to like him, but we've talked about him before. I think he's not a great out and out receiver. He's
really
never caught that many passes. Even the year he had 800 yards, which was his good year, which ain't that great a year. He got thrown to 100 times to get that.
More than that. I think it was like 119 or something like that, which is off the top of my head.
So he's averaging what, you're going to get out of Teddy Bridgewater in terms of yards per attempt. Not a down the field guy at all.
And it's not like he got a little contract in Atlanta. I mean, he's making $7 million a year, I think, right? Something like that.
Letting him go was absolutely the right decision.
Yeah,
Tyler Boyd honestly could probably be a better out-and-out receiver as a rookie than Mohamed Sanu ever will be. He won't bring the other stuff. But.
And what's good for Tyler Boyd is that obviously Kelvin Benjamin, his rookie year, I'm going to just throw this one out there. He had a lot of pressure on him to perform, considering that the Panthers didn't have a lot of weapons, in 2014 and whatnot. Tyler Boyd will not have a lot of pressure on him, considering they have Eifert and A.J. Green, 2 of the best at their positions. And Brendan LaFell, who had a bad year last year, I still think can play a little bit. He'll play a role. And then the 2 running backs, Bernard and Jeremy Hill. So, I mean, I think that he'll play a role in the offense, but it won't be a major role.
No, I think he's in a good situation. Also, he's a different type of prospect from Kelvin Benjamin. And Kelvin Benjamin was a guy who was pretty much pure physical tools, not so great anything else was really what it was.
Yeah.
Not quite Devin Funchess, a little bit better, but...
By the way, I want to get to Devin Funchess at some point in this show. I just saw something about him on NFL.com.
Okay, but point about Benjamin is he had stone hands to an extent. He had some amazing games, some amazing catches. Towards the end of the year, he also had some games where he just couldn't catch anything.
Yeah.
Very beginning, very end. He was spectacular, and then he was terrible. I think Tyler Boyd's probably a little more solid. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the overall ability, but maybe potential. I think as a number 2 on that team, you don't need him to be the best receiver in the NFL.
I mean, they were pretty damn good with Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu.
You have A.J. Green, so you just need a guy who is solid. And Marvin Jones, he doesn't drop a lot of passes at all. He's not blazing speed, not amazing side, but I think he's competent at everything.
I agree. He'll be okay for Detroit. Honestly, towards the end, speaking of Marvin Jones, we'll hit Marvin Jones for a second. I don't think people are going to probably, think I'm crazy for saying this. Calvin Johnson the last 2 years, really, I don't think he was that great, was he? You think Calvin Johnson was that great his last 2 years in Detroit? Everyone calls me crazy for, saying that I don't think Calvin Johnson was that great the last 2 years.
I think he was pretty damn good.
He had injuries and whatnot. I think that stopped him. He had a couple big games here and there. I just didn't think he was that great. I want to look at his numbers, actually.
Last year
off the naked eye, I wasn't really that blown away by Calvin Johnson in 2014 and 2015.
So he had 1,200 yards last year. Now I know.
Okay, for him that's not that great, but for anybody else that is pretty.
I know
good.
from our last podcast that Mike Evans had 1,200 yards and he was terrible. So I think on this podcast, 1,200 yards as a receiver means you're awful. But to me, personally, I don't think that's a bad year, especially when you're not playing healthy every game. He had some games where teams literally just focused on him.
That is true.
I mean, so we just saw when he played against the Saints, he only got one catch for 19 yards because they totally overplayed everyone else. The Saints were a terrible defense. If he didn't get that type of coverage, he would have had a lot more production.
In 2014, he had a little bit over 1,000, but he had 8 touchdowns.
Those are still really good years.
Look how many targets he has, though. He had 71 receptions. He has almost 1,400 targets. He basically hold it in half the time he got thrown to.
A little more than half, but yeah.
Granted, they throw it a lot, but
even the year he had a similar ratio. The year he got 1,900 yards, 205 targets, 120 catches.
Oh my God!
It says something with how many targets. 205 targets is absurd.
That's insane. That's oh my God! That's like more than 10 targets a game.
It is
averaging. Wow, that's
a running back could get 205 carries for the season, and it wouldn't seem that weird.
205 carries would be actually, for a starting running back, I think would actually be pretty slim.
Pretty slim,
yeah, that would be a low. That team doesn't run the ball a lot, or they have a split backfield. What should we talk about next, Kyle?
I don't know. You have a couple things you wanted to get to, right?
Yeah, there was one big thing I wanted to get to. And honestly, it's escaping my mind right now. It wasn't the Devin Funchess thing. That was just something nothing we can really talk about. It's just, I don't know. Funchess light years ahead entering year 2. Now, why that stuck out to me was in the beginning, like the first 8 games of the Panthers season, like Devin Funchess really had to step up considering they had lost Benjamin. He didn't. They still won, but he didn't. I thought towards the end, especially in the postseason, I thought Devin Funchess was actually was improving at a pretty decent pace.
Yeah, I mean, him as a prospect, talking about Kelvin Benjamin, why people thought it was so weird when they drafted him is he was almost
identical.
A slightly worse Kelvin Benjamin and a less
Michigan's
refined
version, yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of played like that. He played like a less refined Kelvin Benjamin, which isn't necessarily something you want. By the way, I'm intrigued to see how he comes back from injury, but
me too.
Devin Funchess is a guy who has he could get a lot better.
He
so
could.
That type of headline is notable.
Here's another headline that's kind of sticking out to me a little. Gabbert is the heavy favorite over Kaepernick in San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't know how Chip Kelly had a winning record as a head coach as the Eagles.
I do not either. Blaine Gabbert, honestly, wasn't terrible last season. I mean, total QBR, whatever that is, ESPN stat is, had him really low. But off the naked eye, I didn't think he was as bad as he was in Jacksonville, at least.
He was
he was a decent backup.
The expectations watching him is, oh my God, this is going to be the worst thing I ever see. So when
you might be right.
That are good, it's like, oh yeah, he's decent.
I want to look at his numbers.
He's someone who should be on an NFL roster. He's good enough for that, but starting him is just such a
over. I mean, I think Kaepernick clearly we've seen what he can be for 2-3 years.
Yeah, and even what he is in his bad years is at least as good as what Kaepernick is at his best. Just Kaepernick to me is a known quantity, and he's a known quantity who ain't that great.
I agree. Let's see the stats here.
The stats last year weren't horrible. Raw stats were pretty.
I mean, that's not total. He had normal quarterback rating of 86.2, 2,031 yards, 10 touchdown passes. Let's see.
Total QBR was 42.
Oh, that's actually really bad.
It's bad. It's not the worst. It's not Jimmy Clausen.
What was that, 10?
It was 12, yeah.
12?
Which also, I think Blaine Gabbert was down in the 20s and he's a rookie, so.
Look at these rushing yards here.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, yeah.
I know this is why you tune into the podcast. Blaine Gabbert's rushing stats had a decent amount of rushing yards last year.
Dude, he broke one off against Chicago. I remember. I was watching that game.
In fact, he had more last year than he had the rest of his year combined.
He did.
He had a 44-yard run.
That was the one. Yeah. There was a long run against the Bears. I remember it.
I don't even know what to do with that.
Don't ask me how I remember that, but I remember watching that. Trenton Richardson wants his career to end with a Hall of Fame bid. Good luck. We're not going any further with that.
Unless by bid he means he's going to buy the Hall of Fame, in which case he's got to become a really good businessman and make a lot of money outside of football. Because as a football player...
No shot, 0%. Nope, not a shot.
Alabama Hall of Fame, maybe.
He was very... Yeah, he was very good. I don't know where I was gonna try to argue that. Yeah, he was very good.
There was a reason he was so sought after.
Yeah.
We could talk about Aqib Talib, even though.
Oh my God, that's the thing I wanted to talk about.
I still don't understand.
All right, when I heard that he got shot, I'm like, oh my God, someone shot Aqib Talib. But like, Aqib Talib shot Aqib Talib.
That story keeps getting weirder.
It's like Plaxico Burress. Like apparently he was like so blackout drunk that he like didn't remember who shot him.
Yeah, of course, the big difference with Plaxico Burress, Texas gun laws are not what New York gun laws are. So Plaxico Burress went to jail for, 2.5 years for it?
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics, but I can imagine Aqib Talib, if it's a similar offense, will not go to jail for nearly as long. Good for him.
Yeah, Texas gun laws are a little bit more lenient. A lot more lenient. Actually, New York is one of the strictest gun laws in the country, I believe.
Texas is the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yes, exactly. I read something today about how he actually might get suspended by the NFL because he had a warning for something with his guns earlier in his career. So he
like shot someone who was attacking his mom or something. Not that shooting someone's great, but I think it was an understandable situation. You ideally don't want him playing around with guns, but
no. All right, here's something that's not on NFL.com that I wanted to touch on. What do you think about the Browns? What would your rough estimate for the Cleveland Browns record be this year?
Oh, God.
They remind me of the 2009 Detroit Lions, other than the coming off of the 0-16 season. Like, their roster is so talentless.
I actually think Robert Griffin could be decent.
I think he needed a fresh start.
I'm not sure he's a bad player. I just don't know if that's the situation to be good. They did draft 5 receivers.
5 receivers and a quarterback. That guy, Cody Kessler, I think, from USC.
I feel like Cody, he's a nothing back. Like, not a nothing. He's a very good college player. He'll be an NFL backup.
Not that this matters, but, like, other than Carson Palmer, name a USC quarterback that's, like, panned out in, like, the last, like, 20 years.
You could do that for most colleges. How many colleges have had multiple good quarterbacks?
Listen, USC, I feel like a lot of times has the top.
They've had multiple good college.
Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Mark Sanchez,
Matt Barkley.
Matt Barkley. Yeah. You know what's funny? If Matt Barkley would have came out the same year that Griffin and
would have been a top 5 pick.
Would have been a top 5 pick. Maybe the Redskins wouldn't have had to trade up. Look at it that way. Maybe the Vikings drafted Ponder the year before that. I was gonna say maybe he would have been picked by the Vikings or something.
Possible.
Something about the Eagles maybe we can cover. Because we do have a lot of Eagles followers, and we have a lot of Jags followers from what I've saw too.
A lot of Jags followers?
A lot of Jags followers.
How about that? We have all the Jags followers.
We do. There aren't too many.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys, but we none of us are technically Jaguars fans, but like I root for Jacksonville if they're playing NFC teams, especially.
I love teal. So whenever there's teal on jerseys, I'm a fan. I don't know what the helmets have been doing the last couple of years with the.
They remind me of soccer uniforms a little bit, Jacksonville's uniforms.
Which is probably why I like them.
Yeah,
except the helmets.
Well, all right. Speaking of, how do you think they're going to be this season? Because I'm very high on them. I like them, and I hope they make the playoffs because their small fan base has been suffering for quite some time now, almost 10 years.
I would almost like to see them make the playoffs as much as any other team in the NFL. In that division, anything's possible.
So, like, you don't really care about them that much, then?
No.
Like,
I meant to say more than any.
More than you said just as much. I thought you said.
Well, just as much as almost as much as the Eagles, even. Like, I really want to see them make the NFL or make the playoffs. I want to see.
I hope Jacksonville makes the NFL.
After the last couple of years,
they're almost at the NFL. They're almost at that level finally.
If we had relegation promotion in the NFL, we'd be talking about that with Jacksonville.
We would.
But no, I think they're in with a shout. They were in with a shout last year, without particularly.
That shocked me. Their offense, what are their offense and like middle of the pack, like if we're talking like overall numbers, but like they definitely were better than that. I mean, maybe it was because Jacksonville is.
They were one of those teams like Oakland that was surprisingly good for a decent amount, and then at the end of the year they had some fall off performances, like home loss to San Diego.
They didn't even like. I remember they played New Orleans, who had like one of the worst defenses ever, and I don't think they really went off.
Right, so it was the same. Blake Bortles and Derek Carr are both good, but they both kind of went off a little bit at the end of the year, which people didn't pay attention anymore because the teams were eliminated. So Jacksonville, I think they'll be decent, which for them is a huge step up.
The two teams that people are really focusing on, like the up and coming teams in the AFC, are Oakland and Jacksonville. Of the two, they play at one point this year. I think that's going to be a really good game if they both turn out to be the teams that I think they're going to be this season. Of those two teams, who do you like more?
Oakland.
You like Oakland more?
Because my issue
I like Jacksonville more, I think.
My issue with Jacksonville is that their defense last year was really bad.
It was, but they're getting Fowler back. They're getting Miles Jack. They're getting Ramsey. If Ramsey will be back by training camp, I think they have upgrades there. Malik Jackson.
They have three question marks there.
3 question marks. I think they're all going to be good, though. I really do. I think they're all going to be good. And Malik Jackson, they signed to the huge contract. Big part of that Denver defense last year also.
There aren't that many rookies that are extraordinarily good.
You're right, and I also forgot Tashawn Gibson, very underrated safety that was for Cleveland. I think that was a great sign.
I agree with that. But I think even if a rookie's good for a rookie, they're not usually. There are exceptions, but they're not like that much above average. If you're average as a rookie, you're fantastic. I don't expect them to be great the first year. To me, it was frustrating for Jacksonville because the year before, I think their defense was actually decent. And I expected that to be something that stayed trending upwards. I had no clue about the offense. But with Gus Bradley and everything, I said, oh, the defense is going to get better, and it took a step back.
That was a little concerning, yeah. But I just have a feeling, man. I see that team really rising. Same thing with Oakland, though. I like Oakland's roster as well. I don't know who I like more, Derek Carr or Blake Bortles. I really like them both a lot. Like, if you were starting a team and, like, they said your quarterback is going to be Blake Bortles or Derek Carr, and you could choose between the two, who would you choose?
I'd probably take Bortles. I feel like he has more upside.
I agree. I'd probably take Bortles.
Derek Carr, I think there's...
Very close, though.
There's honestly higher odds Derek Carr ends up better, but Bortles' top is higher than Carr's top.
I see what you're saying.
It's like a higher percentage of the time, Carr ends up as a better player. But the only one who's going to be like a superstar or anything like that, or even as a chance, is Bortles.
Bortles, like, I mean, he gets this all the time. I'm not, like, inventing this comparison, but, like, he does remind me a lot of Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to cover here, Kyle, in this shoot-around podcast, or are you good?
I think I kind of want to do some relocation talk.
Oh, my God, how did I forget that?
We advertised
all right.
it.
We did. All right, so me and Kyle were just, talking football, and we were talking about, like, if an expansion team was to come into the NFL, what city would they move to? And we're basically putting away, like, Los Angeles because they just got a team. Even though it's realistic that they could get 2, but, like...
Well, they're probably going to get a second.
They very well might. I think Vegas has a better chance, in my opinion.
Well, it sounds like, isn't there an option for San Diego to move next year?
Or something like that with the state. Yeah, I think so. They very well could. I think that San Diego is going to find a way to keep that, to build a new stadium. I don't know why. I think the Chargers are going to stay in San Diego. It looks bleak. I just have a feeling.
Personally, if the city pays any money, I think they're idiots. We could talk about stadium financing all day, but
I'm no expert in
the football side. Be cool for them.
Anyway, so me and Kyle were saying San Antonio would be a city and Portland would be another.
So San Antonio is a big option that people don't think about. It's actually a very big city in and of itself. It's 7th biggest as a city. It's got not a huge metropolitan area, but it's only an hour from Austin. So you have actually a pretty big market. And Austin's a rich city. It's growing. So if you put a team, I don't know if you put a halfway in between or in Austin or in San Antonio, it's far enough away from Dallas, 3 or 4 hours, depending on which one you're talking about. That's actually a very big, not untapped market because they have a lot of Cowboys fans, but it has by far enough people to support a team. That was one option. And by the way, San Antonio and Austin, I've been there, amazing cities.
So they would be good. You think they would be good for a football team?
I think it's a good, because Austin has the money. And the area
it is a wealthy area,
people, yeah.
Let's go to think about Portland. They have the Trailblazers. Like, they don't have any other major sports teams though,
which is weird for a city of that size.
And the Trailblazers, they have turnouts too. They get good fan support.
The metro area of Portland's similar to Phoenix, and Phoenix supports 4 teams. 4 teams.
Yeah, they do. They have all 4 major.
I don't know if they support all of them well, but Portland could easily. I don't know how big football is in Oregon. Is the only thing. Not from Oregon. Never been there. May never be there.
The West Coast can be funny sometimes.
But Seattle's got great fans.
Seattle has great fans, and actually, Oakland and the 49ers.
Yeah, and Seattle and Portland are culturally. People from there probably wouldn't want me to say this, but culturally similar-ish. Similar environments. Similar. They're similar.
How close is Portland to Seattle?
Well, they're neighboring states.
Yeah,
they're pretty far because the states are huge.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that you don't think that would be a huge issue getting fan support?
No, it's far enough away. It's probably like a 5-hour drive at least.
Okay, that's definitely far enough for.
Yeah, we don't worry about the Steelers being too close to Philly.
We do not. Baltimore is a max 2-hour drive from Philadelphia, at least the area where we're near, and there aren't many Ravens fans here, and we're 3 hours from DC. division rival. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, so Portland to Seattle's 3 hours, but that's still
DC's
enough,
3 hours
yeah.
from us. So and there's not. I don't know. I don't think I know a Redskins fan. Personally, no, I do not. All right. Well,
do we got any more? One that's not big enough is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Not that anyone was thinking about that.
We forgot about a huge one, dude. What about Toronto?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think Toronto would do pretty good, but the problem is Buffalo's right there. But if a team was going to relocate there, it would probably be Buffalo, wouldn't it?
That's what Buffalo fans are worried about. Because Buffalo, I think, might be the smallest market in the NFL.
It has to be.
Buffalo is absolutely tiny.
And it's a dump. Not that matters. Sorry, Buffalo fans, but
they're very dedicated.
They are. They're great. They are great fans, which is partially why I wouldn't want to see them move.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, small market. They don't get a lot of fan support. I hope they don't relocate for you Jags fans out there, but you guys need to go to those games more, man. I see a lot of empty seats.
Toronto's it's fourth biggest city in North America, I think. It's got a lot of money. It's if you're an owner or anything like that, it's the type of city you want to be
Exactly.
in. And even though football's not huge up there yet, you have enough people that you would find the interest. The Raptors.
There are people in Canada that like football, the NFL football. Yeah, it could become popular.
And honestly, you could probably get people in other parts of Canada would sort of be fans if there was a Canadian team. If they were going to follow a team, it wouldn't be going to games, but just following the team.
For sure. Yeah.
Untapped area.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps this just random fun podcast that we're putting up. I hope you enjoyed it. So we'll see you on Saturday. We will be doing our preview of the AFC South on Saturday.
So Jags fans,
tune in. I'm gonna give you guys a nice record for my prediction. All right, till Saturday. I'll see you guys. Have a good one.